if you find some new technology, how is that transition? Do you plan ahead, like a roadmap, to make manufacturing more robust? How do you look at the competition side, and how you embrace the technology as it rapidly grows and into the future?
So I think the question was around technology, specifically in manufacturing. Certainly in the U.S., automation is still a big deal. Quality is a big deal. It's less so in other countries where you have a larger workforce. We still see things in our Korea and China plants where if we add capacity, they simply add people. And that's really easy and quite convenient, actually. But I'd like to address the question a little differently, if I may. One of the things that I've seen in the last years, and I'm old enough to remember that we used to communicate via memos going around in a mailbox. So a couple times a day you would go walk to your mailbox and you would have a new memo and you would read it, and it would spur all kinds of controversy, and you'd walk around and spend an hour talking about how dumb the memo was. Well, I now get memos 24 hours a day from many different countries, and they all come in via my email. And one of the things that I've really seen that has been a big change for at least me personally in the last, I'll say 8 years, is it doesn't turn off anymore. So I try to set time aside to answer emails and to get answers out to folks. And I do that typically in the morning and in the evening. And if I have everything cleaned up on that technology at night, the international folks that I deal with are hitting me all night long. And by the time I come in the morning, I'm way behind again. So I think it's this technology that allows us to communicate 24/7 really rapidly that I think has been one of the biggest changes to my job.
Yeah, and another thing, this doesn't have to do with manufacturing either, but kind of thinking about supply chain planning and the evolution of technology. I used to do production scheduling, and I did it on a whiteboard. And so every morning I would come in and I would write out the schedule, and then I had this really good technology where I pressed this button and it scanned the board and it spit out the schedule on that shiny fax paper.
See, we all know that.
Right. And then I had a longer term planning board that was magnets, and that went out farther. That was my long term planning. So boy, the evolution of technology just in the time that I've been in the workforce, that all of us have been in the workforce, has been amazing. I mean, now we have software programs that help us to determine the best sequence, and all the scheduling goes out for a year. So a lot of evolution in technology.
Yeah, and being in the data business, it's really interesting because we were in the data business when big data wasn't it was a word, but it wasn't anything understood. And what we're finding now is that that young people want data. They're used to data, and we think from our business it's because of smartphones. You have an expectation that not only are you going to be able to get data, but you're going to get analyzed data. So Gas Buddy. Does anyone use Gas Buddy? Okay. So it's like, when you're driving down the road and you need gas, you use Gas Buddy, and it helps sort out on a distance basis where is the nearest, cheapest gas that you can get. Well, we're seeing that young people coming into manufacturing companies want that same kind of data. That data doesn't exist. And so I think one of the technologies that's really going to come out is this whole, what people call informatics. It's taking data, analyzing it, and helping you come in and make decisions faster because you've got analyzed data at your fingertips.
Yeah, you don't want me to talk about technology because I didn't use a whiteboard, I used a real blackboard. By candlelight, right? Wasn't that the deal? So for us, technology, I think it echoes some of what they're talking about. A lot of it's more around systems, right? So how can we get a more effective scheduling system, our transportation planning system, How can we tie into our machines in manufacturing that I can see in an instant where my stops are occurring and how long they're down, and yeah, process control technologies. And then we have a bucket of environmental health and safety technology. So what are we doing to reduce energy usage and wastewater, and how do we use automation so people aren't physically having to do the type of activities that they've done over the years. So, but much more around the systems and the data and how we leverage those to improve service, cost, and delivery.
Hi, this is Rahul from MS Global Supply Chain Management. My question is, in the last few decades, I could say, we have seen a gradual shift from vertical integration to virtual integration, like for companies like Ford that were vertically integrated, to companies like Nike, totally virtually integrated companies. So that shift from vertical to virtual integration, does that make coordination from a supply chain perspective difficult among companies? And what are the challenges and benefits of that virtual integration or a shift towards virtual integration? And how difficult it is for companies to get everybody, all their partners on board and work for global optimization instead of local optimization? Thank you.
So I don't know if this will answer the question, so I'll pass the mic quickly. So we have a significant initiatives around what we're calling retailer collaboration, supplier collaboration, to better link into them, to communicate, to just to be more seamless as a group and to be more of a partner. So a lot of efforts around integrating with the Walmarts that we deal with and Kroger and those types of companies through our supplier. And again, sharing knowledge and information in a more timely fashion, so we're more integrated that way. Yeah, it's a great question. I'm a product of that. I was an industrial engineer here, and I thought I was going to go to work at a company that was going to make a lot of stuff. And I was going to help them figure out how to do that. But about 4 or 5 years into my career, we began outsourcing a lot of what we did, and we became less and less vertically integrated over the years. Nobody knew what supply chain management was 30 years ago because we didn't have very long supply chains. Most companies, most manufacturers bought everything they needed and then they made everything that they needed. What I want to say, they bought a lot of raw steel, they bought a lot of raw materials and manufactured it. Now we're much more or much less vertically integrated, at least our company is. I think a lot of companies are. And so the supply chain has taken on a whole brand new importance. Like I say, I'm the product of that because I've been in supply chain about half my career. I'm going to say that Karen's probably had a similar career path.
I mean, what I find interesting is just that when I thought about supply chain 10 years ago, it was more purchasing and getting products from place to place, okay? And kind of your discussion, now when I think about supply chain starts with the sell, wherever that is, and it's the ultimate sale. So it's the customer who buys something, and then you've got all those distribution all the way through, and then you have your manufacturing, which manufacturing isn't manufacturing, it's actually assembly now. And then you have what has typically talked about or thought about a supply chain, which is your suppliers, and it's before the manufacturing or assembly plant. And I think what you just talked about and what I'm seeing is that the supply chain starts with the product that's sold to the customer, because that is the driver all the way through the system. And into 10 years ago, you couldn't integrate that stuff. Today, you guys are trying to get that signal straight from the product leaves the shelf and goes in somebody's car at Walmart. And okay, I know you guys, well, you may sell your little things at Walmart, but it's that product that goes not to your distributor, not to your dealer, but to your end customer, and that's the start of the supply chain in today's world. So it's very different, but the capability of technology is what allows us to think about supply chain that way.
Yeah, you know what's interesting? If we go back a ways, what we used to do in supply chain is we would tell procurement, go get us the very best price you can. And that's fairly easy to do because you're just going to negotiate on volume. The higher the volume, the better the price. And we're moving away from that. And by the way, you know who I blame for that is Toyota. Toyota came over here and they wanted to build cars, and they studied what I think Ford and GM were doing, and they went back and said, we can't do that. We're not big enough. We can never negotiate those large prices. So they came up with this scheme of just in time, and they're just going to buy what they need. And in doing so, they really ate our lunch for a while. We've gotten good at winning it or getting it back. But doing their just-in-time model, what we found is what they're really turning is they're flowing their money a lot better. They're able to hang on to their money twice as long as the average American company can before they have to pay their bills. So I don't know why I went down that road, but I blame Toyota for that. But it is the nature of what we're doing, and I think that drives the whole supply chain.
So at Amway, we still have quite a bit of vertical integration, actually. We will bring in plastic resin on a rail car and make the plastic bottles that our product goes into. And then we can move those bottles right from the line where we make them to the plant right down the road, right in the same complex, but right down the road to the plant that makes the personal care products, so like the shampoo, conditioner, body lotion, that kind of thing. So, and we also, I don't know, do we still have the plant where we make the folding cartons that these things go? Okay, so that leads into what we're doing is really assessing what our core competencies are. Are we really good at this? If we are, let's keep doing it. If we're not, then let's not do it. Let's have somebody whose core competency that is do it for us.
Though I will say something from a core competency perspective. If your manufacturing guys are like, this is too hard, we want to outsource it, the most illogical thing to do is to outsource the most difficult thing to make. So my argument when I was at Allison is, why would you have me outsource, try to teach a supplier how to make something really, really hard to make, and then they have me by the, because they can raise prices on me, I've got no control, they can give me whatever they want. So this issue around core competency is critical. If there's 1,000 suppliers who can make plastic bottles, then you have to decide, is this really where I want to put my investment as a company? And I just think companies are getting smarter about making those decisions and thinking about what are the competencies, what do I want to pay my in-house people who tend to cost more on a hourly wage. You know, my argument was always, I want them to do the most complex stuff versus the easiest stuff. My manufacturing guys are like, but this is hard. And I'm like, yeah, and that's why we pay you the big bucks.
Okay, unfortunately, that's all the time we have left for questions. But we'd like to thank all of our panelists. And we have a gift. And we have a gift before you leave, a gift for each of you.
A full ride scholarship for my grandson? Awesome, I'm glad I came. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes.
So I'm in trouble.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
hold on a minute, please. I have an announcement to make. Yeah. So, as I said, we have a lot of participation from industry, and like the dean was saying, that we have industry participants who come here and help us with all the events that happens, and not only just the events, with hiring, internship, and so forth. So we decided, particularly it's the brainchild of Annabelle, that we would like to each year recognize one of our partners as making outstanding contribution to the center and to the Granite School of Management. And several of you come and participate, and first of all, let me thank all of you. But we decided we also will have a criteria by which we would choose this partner each year. And so here are a few things that we considered. Participation in conference in terms of speaking, or finding speakers for us, or lining up other speakers. Then participation in student competitions. You come here, become the case judges, case competition judges, or poster competition judges. Also facilitate plant visits and work with the interns, spend a lot of time, and recruiting our students, importantly, and arranging sponsorship for projects, student scholarship events, and we looked at several of these, but also we made sure that we don't use politically incorrect criteria like being tall or being handsome or pretty. Okay, we excluded that, and we were very objective about how we would select this person. And so the first one, the inaugural award, goes to Mark.
That means a lot to me. It really does. Thank you very much. Wow. Thanks, George. Appreciate it.
That's for you as well. So you can give us a speech, please.
I'm embarrassed and honored and everything else. The one good thing that everybody in this room has in terms of careers, in terms of education, everything else, is you're aligning yourself with an outstanding institution of higher education. Purdue has served those of us who are either alumni now or who will be alumni very, very well. And hang with it. It's not an easy school to get through, but the rewards are great. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. So next, I would like to invite Sir Nayak to the stage to announce the finalists of the poster competition, and then he will send you all to a break.
Thanks, Vida. I hope everyone is not waiting for the break right now. This year was pretty interesting. We got 26 finalists. This year was pretty interesting. We got 26 finalists. This is the second year we had the poster competition. The first round was held where we went through all of these posters and we screened them. And after screening from 26, we came down to 15. And these 15 finalists presented their posters in the morning today. So first of all, a big round of applause for all our finalists, all the judges, and especially the volunteers who were there. At 5 o'clock in the morning, if that makes you feel better. So thanks a lot for doing that. I have one more announcement. Apart from the 14 graduate finalists that we have had this year, we also got participation from undergraduate students. So that's very encouraging for us. It's very nice to see that undergraduate students are coming forward to participate in such competitions, and I'm sure we'll see a better turnout in the case competition that we have in the next semester. So can we have a round of applause for the undergraduate students that we have here? Next, I would like to invite our judge, Jesse Moore, to come forward and share a few things that he felt about the competition today, and then announce the 5 finalists for the graduate poster competition. Thank you.
My name is Jesse Moore. I'm Director of Supply Diversity Development here at Purdue University. And before I announce the 5 finalists, let me say that there are no losers. As we went around and looked at the posters and talked with the students, it was clear to me that the Credit School is preparing every one of you for life in the world after school. The whole idea about internship is giving you those real world experiences. And from what we saw as judges, all of you have taken those real life experiences and turned it into something that's going to be invaluable as you go forward in your careers. So I'd like to once again give a round of applause to all of those who participated in the posters. The graduate finalists for this year's competitions are as follows: Curtis Holman, Manigandan Ramesh, Monica Ravi, Sadarupa Nadi, and finally, Zita Suba. Congratulations to you all.
Thank you, Jesse. Next, after this, we're going to go for a break from 10:50 to 11:15, and after that, we're going to come back for the second round, for the final round of the poster competition, which will be followed by the Career Forum session number 2. And just to tell you, we were doing the scores, we totaled the scores, and everybody was different by like 0.1 or 0.2. It was a very close competition, so nobody has to feel bad about it. It was a very good competition. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. So,
Good, I don't want to come on the video.
okay, so what do we need for the next session?
Okay.
For the poster